Newsfirst at 9. Headlines.
It's Tuesday, the 29th of April. A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to the news at 9. Come to you live from the Newsfirst Center here in Colombo. I'm Joel Outscoon with tonight's headlines. Heavy rains to be experienced with wind speeds between 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. Chairman of the Jala Urban Council arrives to the council in a garbage tractor.
A
group of locals in Vilpattu laments that they are yet to receive lands despite media reports. Herd of wild elephants pose a threat to the village of Viranagama, Mahayangane. Let's now cross over to our Newsfirst studios for a comprehensive news bulletin.
Well, thank you very much, Joel Outscoon, for bringing us tonight's headlines. Hello there and good evening. I'm Nadim Majid.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Let's start off with a look at tonight's developing story. The Department of Meteorology is forecasting wind speeds of about 70 to 80 kilometers per hour accompanied by rain. Now, the department says that some areas may experience rainfall in excess of 100 millimeters.
The National Building Research Organisation has requested the residents of areas at risk of landslides in the Mathale, Kegol and Ratnapura districts to remain vigilant. Senior researcher at the NBRO, Kumari Veerasinghe, said that if rains persist, there is a risk of landslides taking place in the Nuwara and Kandy districts as well. Meanwhile, certain classes of DS Senanayake College Kandy were unable to function today due to the adverse weather conditions. Several classrooms were flooded following the heavy rains received last evening. A classroom devoted for differently abled children at the school has also been flooded.
Lightning struck a house in the Devalagam area in Kandy yesterday. Although the kitchen area sustained immediate damage, since none of the inhabitants were at home, there were no casualties. Several other homes in the area have sustained minor damages.
Newsfirst also spoke to the Deputy Director of the Department of Meteorology, Atula Karunanayaka, who elaborated further on the prevalent adverse weather conditions.
At present, clear skies are experienced over most parts of the island in the morning. However, by afternoon or evening, thunder showers can develop. However, today, an intertropical convergence zone developed where the winds blowing in from the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere converge. You can see an elevated level of cloud development in this zone. We call this zone the Intertropical Convergence Zone. This zone was prevalent over the island today. This zone will most probably affect the island tomorrow as well. As a result of its effects, we can expect scattered showers in the morning in the southwest of the island and in the western province. In addition, we expect thunder showers to develop in the afternoon and in the evening in other parts of the island.
ඊට අමතරව සෙසු ප්‍රදේශවල අපි බහුලව බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ අපරභාගීය සන්ධ්‍යා කාලයේදී ගිගුණු සහිත වැසි.
The inclement weather condition across the island has intensified. Now, what is the reason for this situation? The area in which the winds which flow from the southern hemisphere meet with the winds which flow from the northern hemisphere. Now, this is the reason for this inclement weather condition. The Department of Meteorology says that wind speeds could increase up to 70 to 80 kilometers per hour and that the sea areas across the island could also be rough at times. And also the Department of Meteorology further noted that certain areas across the island have received a rainfall above 100 millimeters. Reporting from the Department of Meteorology, I'm Joel Outscoon for Newsfirst.
Let's have a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Local politicians using unorthodox modes of transport to attend council meetings is not an uncommon sight in Sri Lanka. The chairman of the Jail Urban Council made an entrance at the council meeting held today by arriving in a tractor belonging to the council. He charges that the deputy chairman of the council, who for a while functioned as the acting chairman, is yet to hand over the chairman's official vehicle to him.
Anju Pereira assumed duties as the new chairman of the Jail Urban Council yesterday. However, since the chairman's official vehicle has not been handed over to him, he opted to use a garbage tractor belonging to the council to attend the council meeting today. While the former chairman of the council lost his position as a result of the council's budget being defeated on 2 occasions, the deputy chairman Shamika Dias functioned as acting chairman of the council for over 3.5 months. However, he was overlooked when it came to the appointing of a new chairman, with the position going to council member Anju Pereira.
We were not aware of him having assumed duties as the chairman. Even today, we do not know whether he has assumed duties or not. There has been no announcement by the Urban Council or the party regarding his appointment.
The deputy chairman used the official vehicle prior to this, but neither the deputy chairman nor the acting chairman has the right to use the vehicle. In fact, from a legal perspective, if this matter is taken to the police, it will become a major issue.
With regard to the official vehicle, just as I was entrusted with it, I have now handed it over. I informed the driver to come and take the vehicle on the 11th. He has resorted to this action before that, when in fact I have already handed over the vehicle.
Convening a media briefing, the SLFP organizer of the Jail electorate, Minister Felix Pereira, commented on the issue.
While the deputy chairman was there, he had no right to do such a thing. If an appointment is not made within a month, the elections commissioner has the right to appoint the deputy chairman. We need to ask the elections commissioner if pressure was exerted on him to delay this. This is a legal problem. Why was the appointment not made within a month? 4 months have passed now. Why was this drawn out? The party will deteriorate as a result. If the party deteriorates, the opportunity to establish a government reduces.
While the weakling political authority in this electorate is acting in this way to prevent me from moving forward and executing my duties, I decided when the party put its faith in me and appointed me to this position that even if I do not receive the vehicle, I will use a tractor and go to the Urban Council and execute my duties.
At the media briefing convened today, journalists questioned the electorate organizer, Minister Felix Pereira, on why the chairman's official vehicle had not been entrusted to the chairman.
If he has been appointed and had been sworn in, then we must accept the appointment. At the same time, if he has been appointed the chairman, then the chairman's official vehicle belongs to him. I entrusted them yesterday to hand over the official vehicle. However, it is the driver who is in charge of the vehicle, not the former chairman. I have instructed them to hand over the official vehicle, and if it has not been handed over, then the police must be informed to apprehend him. They must arrest him. I am not a fool to go there and grant the official vehicle to him as if it were a boon.
The Mana Marika Rural Development Association charges that although there were reports in the media that they will be provided with lands by the state, they have not been informed of any such provisions. The president of the association, Maulavi M. Tawfiq, made this statement in response to the statement made by the Mana district secretary yesterday.
It was reported in the media that we will be provided with lands 3 kilometers away from the original location. However, we have not been informed of such a provision. The media reports say that 70 families will be provided with land. However, there are 129 families here. We have been living here. Our ancestors lived on this land, even before 1990. When we returned to this land in 2009, this was occupied by the Navy. Our ancestors have been buried in this land. That is where we have set up tents. Provide us with lands right here. They are saying that this land belongs to the Department of Wildlife. This is not a land that is owned by China or Bangladesh. This is our land.
The more than a month-long conflict between family health workers or midwives and nurses at the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital is yet to be resolved. Midwives who attempted to report to work at the hospital today were obstructed from doing so.
Midwives reported to work at the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital today with labour room equipment that they had obtained privately. This action was prompted by the non-provision of labour room equipment by nurses at the hospital to the midwives who were opposed to nurses undergoing labour training. However, the nurses staged a demonstration today preventing the midwives from entering labour rooms.
Today they have illegally forced their way into the labour rooms and are attempting to forcibly assist in childbirth with equipment that has not been sterilised. If they legitimately report to work, then we are prepared at any time to provide them with the labour room equipment and to allow them to work. Midwives have used this equipment to minimize the number of infant deaths and maternal deaths during childbirth. They are not giving us the equipment kits that we require. Therefore, we decided to purchase the kits at personal cost and to preserve the sanctity of our profession and execute our duties.
We have received information that the nurses have raided the labour rooms and have turned it into a battlefield. We hope and we request the director and everyone else to halt the despicable action. Until the problem is resolved, although we will sign the attendance register, we will not report to work. We will continue this action. Today, the Public Service United Nurses Union informed the director in writing of this measure. Stop inconvenience in the patients and resolve this problem. I am doing the maximum that I can do. I have informed the ministry. There is no sign that they will stop their trade union action. Both these groups are sticking to the stance that they are in the right and are using the patients as bait. This is what is happening.
As a result of this conflict, pregnant mothers receiving in-house treatment at the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital were transferred to other hospitals recently. Pregnant mothers have not been admitted to the hospital since.
MP Sajith Premadasa convened a special media briefing this morning. Speaking at the briefing, he made the following statement.
We are preparing to conduct this affair as we have done continuously over the past 21 years. At the same time, a message has been transmitted to the people via the internet and various media institutions to gather for a procession at another location at 11 a.m. There is no such plan. It is a false statement. I request the people of Sri Lanka to not to be deceived by this false news and false statements. The event will take place at the premises of the statue of Premadasa. Parallel to the commemoration of the 21st death anniversary of Ranasinghe Premadasa, we hope to hold religious observances for 6 months, continuously until the end of the year.
මාස 6ක් මුළුල්ලේ මේ වසර අවසන් වන තෙක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නට අපි සැලසුම් කරලා තිබෙනවා.
The 125th International Labour Day will be commemorated the day after tomorrow. At this moment, the various political parties and labour organisations are making the final preparations for their respective May Day rallies. Let's take a look at some of the views that were expressed at separate media briefings convened today in lieu of May Day.
With the expectation of the army, it was the working people that were worst affected and saw the greatest loss of life during the 30-year-long war. This year, the wages of all the administrative councils have been increased by 30 to 40%. Agreements are reached through collective bargaining as one unit. As a result, today, we do not see strikes at any of the major companies. Annually, the trade union leaders, the ruling party and our ministry hold discussions and reach final agreements. We work according to this system.
We
will commemorate May Day this year under the theme Protect Freedom, Protect the Motherland. In many countries today, workers are being shown the door at their workplaces. They are deprived of labour rights. The public service is being cut back. In such a period, we have established freedom in this country.
During our May Day commemoration, we will primarily highlight the problems posed to the freedom of our country as a result of the influences of global capitalism. Our country is in a state of economic slavery and is caught in a political trap. On the other hand, we stand for the unity of the country through the devolution of power. We can see that a major problem has arisen in this country as a result of this government abandoning or suppressing this factor.
On this May Day, I must remind you that we first commemorated May Day in Kurunegala. This time around, we have decided to commemorate May Day, which will be commemorated across Sri Lanka on the 1st at 2 p.m. in Ampara. We have made preparations to gather party supporters and commemorate May Day covering the Ampara, Monragala and Badula districts.
This government has the ability to grant tax holidays to establish casino enterprises and to allocate money for various other matters. They have the ability to build harbours where ships do not come. This government is able to obtain loans and build airports where there are no aeroplanes and to place burden upon burden on the people. This government has no plan and no vision. This government is unable to increase the people's wages.
The locals in the village of Veeranagama in Mahayangane lament that they are under the threat from a herd of elephants that has been roaming in the area for the past few days. According to our correspondent in the area, the herd comprises of 36 adults and calves.
Locals point out that the herd of wild elephants are roaming around the Veeranagama village in Mahayangana for the past 4 days. The herd of 36 wild elephants are believed to have strayed into the area from the Waskamua Forest Reserve. A disabled elephant is also part of this herd. The villagers point out that the dysfunctional electric fence set up around the village from Aluttarama to Divula Palasa has attributed to the wild elephants straying into the area.
An electric fence was set up. They said that electricity was supplied to it. However, there is no fence at present, just 2 parallel poles. We request the government to take steps to chase away the wild elephants.
A house in the Veeranagama village and a shop were badly damaged last night by wild elephants. Wild elephants came to our house last night. Wild elephants damaged our houses on 3 previous occasions as well. We are afraid and we cannot sleep. We cannot eat on time. Usually there are only a few elephants, but this number has grown to almost 35. Please electrify the fence. The villagers point out that although they have informed the wildlife authorities on this problem, they are yet to respond. Newsfirst contacted the Assistant Director of Wildlife in the Central Province, M.A. Chitrasena, and he said that a solution will be provided to the prevailing issue.
First international youth delegation that will be attending the World Conference on Youth 2014 arrived in the island today. The WCY 2014 will commence on the 6th of May.
The duty manager at the Katunaika airport said that 2 youth delegates from the Republic of Slovenia, a nation state in South-Central Europe, arrived in the island today. He added that they reached the island at 2:05 this afternoon aboard a Turkish Airlines flight. The Ministry of Youth Affairs and Skills Development said that the delegates arrived 7 days prior to the World Conference to study youth activities in Sri Lanka. The ministry added that the delegates had requested to be a part of pre-organization activities as they will be facilitated. WCY 2014 will commence on the 6th of May and will conclude on the 10th.
We wanted to come to Sri Lanka before the conference to see this beautiful country and to see other places as well, and to prepare ourselves for the conference, which is of course very much important for all the youth all over the world. So we're really looking forward to see your beautiful country and to attend the conference. So thank you very much for greeting us here.
Meanwhile, the Around the World team arrived in Moscow, Russia late yesterday. The Newsfirst and Sri Lanka youth representatives who are raising awareness on the World Conference on Youth attended a special discussion in Moscow this morning.
Around the World in 40 days. The discussion between Russian officials and the members of the Around the World team took place at the Russian Ministry of Education and Science. The meeting was spearheaded by Volkova Svetlana Vadimovna, the Deputy Director of the Department of State Policy on Youth. Minister Councillor Samantha Pathirana of the Sri Lankan Embassy in Russia also took part in the discussions. The Russian officials, while confirming their participation in the World Conference on Youth, invited Sri Lanka to take part in an international youth conference organized by Russia. The team also got the opportunity to visit the iconic Red Square this evening. We will have more details on the iconic Red Square in Moscow tomorrow. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Ramesh Irugal Bandara with Yasrat Kamasari from Moscow, Russia.
A memorial event to commemorate the 81st anniversary of the demise of the late Anagarika Dharmapala was held at the Agrashavaka Mahabodhi Viharya in Maradana this morning. A gathering including prominent politicians and members of the Mahabodhi Society graced the occasion.
Born on the 17th of September 1864, Anagarika Dharmapala passed away on the 29th of April 1933. The memorial event at the Agrashavaka Mahabodhi Viharya in Maradana commenced this morning with floral tributes being paid to the statue of the late Anagarika Dharmapala at the premises. Subsequently, religious observances were held invoking blessings on the late Anagarika Dharmapala. The service rendered by the late Anagarika Dharmapala to school children was also commemorated at this event. This day also marks the passing of the first president of the Mahabodhi Society, Venerable Hikkaduwe Sri Sumangala Thera. We organized this event to mark both these occasions. The Sri Lanka Mahabodhi Society has organized various events throughout the year this year to commemorate the 150th birth anniversary of the late Anagarika Dharmapala. This event today was part of this program.
A memorial event for the renowned educationalist, the late R.I.T. Alice, was held in Galle yesterday. A three-story building at CWW Kannangara Vidyalaya in Galle was reopened yesterday after it was renovated with the support of the family of the late R.I.T. Alice. A group including Dr. Harsha Alice and MP Tiran Alice paid floral tributes to a statue of the late R.I.T. Alice at this event.
We visited several schools, but when we came to this school, we met a small child. My father spoke to me and said, "Son, can we take this school into our care and rebuild it?" He said we were in favor of accepting this responsibility. On the 2nd of January 2005, we informed the government and the Ministry of Education. If my memory serves me well, I believe that renovation was completed by the 5th of December the same year, and my father entrusted this school to the government again.
A prize giving was also held at this occasion for members of the tutorial staff of the school. The late R.I.T. Alice, who commenced his professional life as a teacher at Royal College, Colombo, is considered to be a pioneer who established a new era in education in Sri Lanka.
In other local news, the Minister of Agriculture says that the country has the capability to become self-sufficient in the production of big onions. Minister Mahinda Abewardena says that it has been confirmed that big onions can be produced in Dambulla as well as in Hambantota.
Speaking to reporters in Colombo today, Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Yapa said that due to the insufficient amount of rain received during the Yala season, farmers have resorted to cultivating alternative crops. We have successfully cultivated big onions in the Hambantota district. This is around 600 hectares of land. We will reap the harvest by the end of May. This has proven that big onions can be successfully cultivated in Hambantota as in Dambulla. The annual demand for big onions in the country is 250,000 metric tons. However, we only produce 10,000 or 20,000 metric tons of big onions. We require another 100,000 metric tons. If we are able to spread the cultivation of this crop in both the Monoragala and Hambantota districts in a land area of 10,000 hectares, we will be able to meet 100% of our domestic demand.
10000කට මේ වැඩපිළිවෙල ව්‍යාප්ත කරන්න පුළුවන් වුණොත් අපේ අවශ්‍යතාවය 100%කට හෝ ඊටත් වඩා සම්පූර්ණ වෙයි කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා.
India's Finance Minister Palaniappan Chidambaram said result of general elections will be the product of critical years of 2010 and 2011 and missed opportunities. Voting in the world's most populous democracy, where about 815 million people are expected to cast their votes, kicked off on the 7th of April and will conclude on the 12th of May. Results are due on the 16th of May.
Interacting during the launch of a book by editor-in-chief of a newspaper Indian Express, Shekhar Gupta, titled Anticipating India, the Best of National Interests, Chidambaram said 2010-11 were critical years and crucial mistakes were made.
Whatever will happen on 16th of May, I think will be the direct product of those critical years 2010 and 2011. Looking back, it's very clear that opportunities were missed. Looking back, it's very clear that some crucial mistakes were made. Looking back, it's quite clear that even the principal opposition party didn't see the opportunity in 2010 and 2011. But I think those were the critical years. Finance Ministry in 2000. But clearly in 2010 and 2011, we should have, the political class should have communicated with the people of India. I think the disconnect between the political class and the people grew, and I think whoever noticed it first and began to communicate is going to reap the benefit of that.
The Election Commission of India organized a candlelight ceremony in northern Amritsar city to create awareness amongst the masses to exercise their right to vote during the world's largest general election. Many youngsters, majority of who were first-time voters, lit a candle each as a sort of pledge to cast their vote on the 30th of April when northern Punjab state goes to polls in a single-phase voting. Deputy Commissioner and District Electoral Officer Ravi Bhagat said the act of lighting a candle means that the youngsters are aware of their duty to cast their ballot. He said the candlelight vigil marches are often held as a mark of protest, but for perhaps the first time this method has been used in a positive manner for a national cause. Meanwhile, India's main opposition, BJP, said Congress party and its allies had accepted their defeat before the results of the general elections, which is why they were making provocative statements. Commenting on statements of chief of the ruling party in India's Kashmir, BJP Vice President Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi said Congress party allies have got one target to attack PM candidate Narendra Modi. Chief of ruling National Conference Farooq Abdullah said proposals of single law for all religions by Modi was not acceptable to Kashmiri Muslims.
We have been comprehensively covering the Indian general election since the day of the polls were announced.
We have our correspondent placed across the subcontinent. Joining us now is Newsfirst Delhi correspondent Eval Mathi with more details.
Tomorrow, 2.81 crore voters in Telangana are to exercise their franchise for electing the government of a new state in 119 assembly seats and 17 parliament seats. The main contestants are Congress and Telangana Rashtra Committee against Telugu and BJP. 90,000 security personnel have been deployed to ensure peaceful and smooth conduct of elections.
Starting off your sports news with boxing, the amateur boxers who qualified for the second round of Super Fighter, Sri Lanka's first reality sports TV program, were registered today.
Super Fighter. Close to 10,000 aspiring boxers participated in the 14 rounds of trials covering all districts in Sri Lanka to select boxers for round 2 of Super Fighter. 128 amateur boxers have qualified for round 2 of the tournament. The registration for the second round was held at the Sugdadasa Stadium in Colombo. A 2-week residential training camp will be held in Kandy for the contendants who qualified under 4 weight classes. Supervisor is a joint initiative of MAS Holdings, Newsfirst and the MTV-MBC Media Network.
Super Fighter. Also in boxing news, Sri Lankans competing in the Lions Cup 2014, Gayan Madhushan and Malit Prabhaswara made it through to the finals of the tournament today. The Lions Cup 2014 International Boxing Tournament commenced yesterday at the Sugatadasa Indoor Stadium in Colombo. Newsfirst and the MTV-MBC Media Network are the media sponsors of the event.
Today is day 2 of the Lions Cup Boxing Tournament 2014, which is worked off at the Sugatadasa Indoor Stadium in Colombo. And the tournament was worked off as of 3 p.m. today, and a number of participants from Sri Lanka participated and took part in the event.
Lions Cup, the first of its kind to be hosted by Sri Lanka, is organised by the Amateur Boxing Association of Sri Lanka with over 70 international boxers vying for victory. Gayan Madhushan defeated Rogan Layton of the Philippines in the 46kg light flyweight category in the quarterfinals today. Meanwhile, Malit Prabhaswara defeated Fuad Rizwan of Malaysia also in the 46kg light flyweight category in the quarterfinals held today. The Lions Cup will go on until the 2nd of May and finals will be aired live on Sirsa TV from 3 p.m. onwards.
Stay with Newsfirst as we bring you the very latest on this boxing tournament. I'm Florin Rajendran reporting from Sugatadasa Stadium, Colombo.
Now you can keep abreast of all the news we are following here at Newsfirst by visiting our website newsfirst.lk. You can comment on the stories we carry and also join the conversation on Twitter and Facebook. The website once again is newsfirst.lk.
Well, with that, we wrap up Primetime News at 9. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
And I'm Nadim Majid. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night and good luck.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.